Good afternoon and welcome to This Evening with Dylan Hopkins
and Dominica Rack. Here's what's coming up on today's show. We'll be joined by Dave Trainor for this week's debate, where we'll be discussing whether we should or shouldn't be going back to pubs as lockdown eases.
We'll also be having a chat with Charlotte DEVERELL about her new role in the upcoming film Shutter. Before that, what's got This Evening viewers talking this week? Well, we've been looking at your comments and opinions on today's headlines, including the accidental shooting that took place in America on Sunday.
Dante Wright was pulled over for a traffic violation. However, in a struggle wherein Dante tried to re-enter his vehicle, he was accidentally shot and killed by a police officer.
The officer, who has now been revealed to be Officer Kim Potter, mistakenly believed her gun was her taser and fatally wounded Wright as he entered his car.
The shooting has caused unrest, particularly in places such as Minneapolis, and there have been mass protests both in person and on social media.
We've been flooded with comments from our This Evening viewers, with many stating that in this situation there should be absolutely no room for accidents.
Many have also called for Potter to be fired from her position, as she is currently on leave with her full benefits and pay still intact.
In other news, YouTube is currently in hot water over multiple allegations of sexual assault. YouTubers David Dobrik, James Charles and now Jake Paul have been exposed by multiple victims claiming that the stars assaulted them.
TikTok star Justine Paradise accused Jake Paul of assaulting her in 2019 in Los Angeles' home. Paradise claimed that she signed an NDA, which led to a 2-year silence on the matter.
The star claims that Paul did not ask for consent for his actions and that he eventually stopped responding to messages and doesn't speak to her again. She's spoken out now in hopes that Paul realises what he did and doesn't do it again.
Paul has been contacted by our This Evening representatives, yet has declined to comment.
On Monday, we were finally eased out of lockdown and welcomed back into pubs and shops.
Many of us relished in the newfound freedom, causing huge queues outside of shops such as Primark and TK Maxx.
Our viewers have been sending us pictures all week as people were seen queuing up from as early as 6 a.m. It was reported that at 12 p.m. some queues had reached approximately 130 metres.
After 17 years, the Friends reunion has finally been filmed. The one-off show was expected to be filmed last August, yet was pushed back due to the pandemic.
The show, which brings together the original cast, will broadcast on the HBO Max streaming service and should be available for viewers to watch in the coming months.
And finally, with the BAFTAs taking place on Sunday, some of Hollywood's finest gathered together to celebrate the occasion. Nomadland turned out to be the big winner of the night, as it picked up the Best Film, Director and Lead Actress. Other honourable mentions include Sound of Metal, Promising Young Woman and Soul.
Thank you to everyone who sent in their comments, and if you want to get in touch with us about this week's headlines, tweet us at #ThisEvening or give us a ring on 09876543321. Still to come on the show, Dave Trainor will be finding out the truth about whether it's safe to enter pubs.
Before that, we're joined with the leading lady of the brand new film Shutter. Charlotte DEVERELL is here to discuss her role in the film and how she felt being the only cast member involved.
But first, let's have a quick look at the trailer. It's great to see you, Charlotte. Thank you for being here today. So what can you tell us about this film?
It is a film about a student who is stressed with uni work. She's just going about her daily routine, making lunch and everything, when she gets a suspicious email. She doesn't have time to look at the email and gets a knock at the door, and there is a package there. She opens the package because she's curious, and things start happening when she starts playing around with what she's found in the box. But if you want to find out what happens, then you're just going to have to watch. So.
This is your first experience with a horror film. How does that differ from what you've done previously?
It's like really different because it's horror reactions aren't normal reactions. So with other things, it's very much just a version of yourself. If you're happy, then you're happy. If you're sad. But with these sort of things, they're not natural things to occur in everyday life. So it's trying to find that balance of doing enough, but not doing too much, not doing too little, because it isn't overly natural. Because with theatre, if you're doing something that's horror, you're allowed to be bold and you're allowed to project and be so expressionate so the audience can feel what you're feeling. But on TV, it's completely different, because everything that you're feeling is so to the camera and so intimate, but then it's horror, so you've got to be really bold with everything you're doing, and your actions have got to be so, well, just believable as well. And like, that's probably where I found it quite hard, because all these things that are happening have obviously never happened to me and probably wouldn't happen in a normal life. So it's trying to find that balance of being believable, not giving too much away, but also finding the truth in it. If it actually did happen, how would I actually react?
I've seen you mention that your background is primarily in theatre and that this is your first lead role in a film. How did you find that?
Well, it's really different, because with theatre it's all about ensemble and being a part of a team. So that was a huge change, especially as like with theatre, you're sharing your story to an audience, whereas this is so much more intimate and it's to a camera, so everything's got to be like dialed down quite a lot. So in that way it was really different, but it was a nice experience because I felt very safe. Everything just happened really naturally, so that was really nice.
Our This Evening viewers have been sending us questions all day. So Jack on Twitter asks, how do you react when you see negative comments about any of your performances?
To be honest, I'm quite a sensitive person, and I think because my career, I hope, will be in acting, I can't really let those sort of things get to me. The whole career is about rejection, and I know it's just the game, it's not me personally that they don't want, it's just they're looking for someone else, and that could be down to eye colour, could be down to height, anything. So as much as I would like it not to affect me, it probably will in the future, but I'm going in with a positive mindset.
And before you go, John asks, what's the best thing about being an actor?
For me, it's probably about transforming and being able to change someone's perspective on life and make them think certain things and feel a certain way, and being able to embody someone that isn't yourself but finding your truth in someone else as well, and being able to make magical things happen for someone else watching.
That's all the questions we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us today, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our viewers who sent in questions today. And remember, if you want to get in touch with any of the guests on our show, you can tweet us at #ThisEvening, or you can text us at 09876 54321.
And now it's time for our panellists to join us in the studio. Joining us today is DAVETRAINOR, who is debating whether we should or shouldn't be going into pubs as normal.
Welcome to the show, Dave.
Nice to be here.
So you've had some quite controversial opinions about this topic, which you've been fairly vocal about on Twitter. You stated that you believe it's all right to go back into pubs and that the discussion of a vaccine passport to enter pubs is discriminatory.
Yeah, definitely. I do believe it is discriminatory. This is the government trying to put restrictions on things that don't need restricting. So these vaccine passports for people who've had the vaccine, but it's going to be young people that are going into the pubs and they've not received the vaccine. So how does that make sense? How can a government make a decision to severely cut off a huge demographic? These pubs are not going to make nearly as much money unless they let young people in. But how are they going to do that if they've not had a vaccination passport?
You tweeted last year and several times this year that masks and social distancing are a joke that shouldn't be enforced. How will you react if pubs refuse to let you in if you don't wear a mask?
I mean, I don't believe that a pub can force you to wear a mask. In any case, I don't see the point. So you stand at the door, you put your mask on, you have it on for what, 20 seconds before you sit down? They're not going to force you to wear a mask while you drink a pint now, are they? Like, obviously, you're just going to have it on for 20 seconds. So what's the difference? If you've taken it off when you sat down, if you're sat in the same place, what's the point?
The government released information that customers will be made to sign in and out of pubs, and that every member of the party is required to do so, rather than just one person. And how do you feel about this?
Again, I think it's the government just not thinking things through. We're coming to a time now with Corona where we have to understand that it's going to be with us for the long haul. You know, they're saying that Corona is something we're going to have to deal with forever. So is this track and trace system where the government know exactly where you are every evening if you go out, is that going to stay with us forever? I mean, I don't much like the thought of the government knowing exactly where I spend my evenings and who I spend them with. This isn't Soviet Russia. We're free to make our own decisions and go where we want to go without having to let the powers that be know.
You've been supported by a large following on Twitter who agree with your opinions on pubs reopening. Most of these people agree that pubs should reopen as normal due to the financial strain that is causing chaos in the food service sector. But this isn't your opinion, is it?
In one of your tweets from January this year, you stated that you couldn't care less about people's jobs and that you just want a pint. What do you think our viewers who work in the food service and hospitality industry would make of these statements?
Let's be honest, January was a different time. I maybe wouldn't phrase it the same way now. However, I think I do stand by what I said. You know, throughout Corona, this country has been hemorrhaging money. Billions and billions and billions of pounds. And the only way to remake that money is to open things up again, get the pubs open, get all this stuff open. And it's great for the people that work in this industry because it means they can stop being on furlough, they can go back to 100% pay, and everyone can carry on with their lives. And, you know, yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you, Dave, for joining us here in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
On next week's show, we'll be showing you the best lockdown looks for your post-lockdown holidays.
And a surprise celebrity chef will be joining us in the studio to show you how you can eat well on a budget.
That's next week at 5.
See you then.